Welcome to our second week of this initiatic path, acknowledging the universe within our body, following the chakras going up. This week we are going to work and talk about the knees chakra, which is related to our ancestors and flexibility. Usually we don't talk about this chakra like the one of the feet, because when we are talking about the spiritual growth and the spiritual alignment, we usually tend to relate everything to our glands, and we go up into the skies, taking the shape of the meditation position, which is like sitting on the floor with the root chakra grounded on the ground. But actually, we usually forget about the potential that our legs has in our life, and we use those chakras a lot, but we don't usually put them in practice in a spiritual way. So the chakra related to our knees is the one related to our past and our ancestors, is the one that reflects our way of relationship with our history, is the one that shows us our ability to be flexible under the changes of evolution, through the changes of centuries, history, throughout the links that we have with our parents, grandparents, all our family members. The links that are created in our knees are the ones that shows us if we are able to adapt, if we are able to transcend the past, to transform it into something useful in the present, and if we are capable of transcend our reality today in order to jump into a new one. So it also represents the point of inflection in our life, and also the stability. So the two legs represents like these two columns that holds us in between heaven and earth. So one of the knees represents a feminine side, the other one a masculine side. So one represents the sky, the other one represents the earth. And these are like the two pillars of our own temple. The one that we have to hold within from the root chakra to the crown chakra, it's held by these two pillars that represents heaven and earth. There are many traditions that has these towers as a symbol of change, as a symbol of transformation, as a symbol of connectivity with other realms in other dimensions. The two towers basically are like trunks of a tree that one represents the tree of life and the other one represents the tree of wisdom. These two trees that we have encoded in our legs find its point of transformation in each one of our knees. Usually the left knee is representing the tree of life and representing, of course, the feminine side of our body. Is the pillar that connects us to the earth. And the other one, the right knee, is the one that is related to the patterns. So the father, the masculine side, and of course the tree of knowledge, the tree of wisdom. These two trees compose the great tree of creation, and these two pillars are the two fundaments of all human history. And not only human, but every family and every living being that exists. This is why the chakra of the knees is also related to the concept of the great tree that connects us all. We have many traditions talking about the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. These two trees apparently are like one, but they are entangled to one another. And throughout many traditions and histories, these two trees are like the beginning of everything, the source of every energy and every information. They are the connection that we have throughout the entire cosmos. And basically they represent the good and the evil. They represent the positive and the negative. They represent duality, polarity, and all the forces that created life, that guided life, and that give a sense, a meaning to our minds and our humanity. Of course, the most known history about the Tree of Life is related to the one that we have read in the Bible, or we have heard about the Semitic traditions. In the Semitic traditions in the Middle East, the idea of a paradise is a concept that created the tradition of a belief that there is a garden where all humanity and all life was born in the middle of the desert. And in that garden there were two trees, the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. And when humanity was created there, they used to be able to live in harmony, eating anything they wanted, having everything they wanted. But God said to them, do not touch these two trees. Don't eat from the fruit of the tree of life or the tree of wisdom. So basically the tree of life gave all the potential, gave all life to every living being, like the feminine side, and in the other side, the masculine, it was the power of knowledge. It was the power of becoming a god. And that's the tree that in the story we humans shouldn't take from. We shouldn't eat from that tree, because there was a source, a divine source, that was against the idea of us becoming also these gods and goddesses. The story tells that there's a snake that rolls in the trunk of this tree of wisdom, and the snake calls a woman to grab from the fruit of this tree. The woman eats this fruit, and the woman saw the truth. She came back and told the truth to the man, and the man, because he was afraid of eating from that tree, commits like the first sin, which is not respecting the decision of God. So from that moment, from that story of the tree, all humanity has been sent to suffer and to live disconnected from the paradise. This story about the tree is talking about something much more deeper than just a place in the Middle East where is a magical tree that nobody can eat from. The tree is related to the matrix, is related to all the information that is in the toroidal existence. If you take the shape of a torus, which means a magnetical field coming from the center with a positive and a negative, what you have is the shape of a tree or the shape of an apple. You have the branches up and the branches down, and the magnetical field of positive and negative touch the tips of the branches and roots, creating this shape of a fruit. So the flower, the fruit, the seed, and the branches of a tree, they're all encoded in this concept of magnetical field. So we could say that the planet itself has a tree of life that goes from within to the outside in the magnetical North Pole and the magnetical South Pole. This means that the paradise is actually what is hidden inside that tree of life. The tree grows inside that paradise. The word paradise basically means a garden between walls, which means that it's a limited potential that is kept inside something. Basically, it's describing a cell. It's a cell that has all the potential of everything, of all life, that is guarded in the limits of something. It's guarded in the limits of a wall. And inside, the shape of the toroid is the tree that encodes all that information. Then you have the snake. The snake is the DNA. The DNA is the one that crawls in the tree and holds all the fruits, which are basically 4. Adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. These 4 elements, earth, water, fire, and air, in our DNA are the potentials of creation. So the Kundalini is actually the snake of the DNA. Is a chain of a chemical component called phosphorus, which is basically light. So the phosphorus ignites and it shines like DNA. This snake of light, which is inside of these inner walls of the cell, held by the tree of life, which is the magnetical field of positive and negative, is basically the Garden of Eden that encodes the feminine and the masculine and encodes the keys to all life. So these 2 trees, positive, which is wisdom, and negative, which is life, are replicated as a fractal in our knees. And inside this Garden of Eden, we have all information of our ancestors, which means that basically this tree of life is alive within us. We have been looking for that tree of life for centuries, trying to find the Garden of Eden in heaven or here on earth in a specific place in the Middle East. But actually, this metaphor is describing how the first humans, the first woman, the first man, had encoded these fruits, seeds, flower of life within themselves. So actually, when you grab the paradise, which is the circle that encodes the information inside, and you start to divide it and multiply it, you start to have the famous symbol of the seed of life. So one circle and replicates around with other 6. So you have the seed of life, and then you grow more and you have the flower, and more and you have the fruit, and more and you have the tree. So what these circles replicating represent is basically mitosis, which is the division of the cells, and meiosis, which is the creation of new cells. So this process of the tree of life and the tree of knowledge, meiosis and mitosis, is the one that replicates all the information in the entire planet, in all life. So what we have been telling through stories, through the snake, the dragon, the feminine, the masculine, the tree of life, is actually the story of every cell that is alive within us. And basically the snake, which is the DNA, is the activation of that potential within ourselves. And the first one on taking the information from the snake of the DNA is, of course, the feminine, because the feminine body is the one that is able to create another human being, is the one that has the potential inside to create mother cells that are able to replicate and create a new human from the very beginning. So that's why the first one on transcending the system, waking up within, acknowledging the power of creation inside, of course, is a feminine body. The replication of this system of the tree of life through every creature in existence is basically the understanding of how we all are connected and we all have that information inside. The tree of life is basically a system that describes a pattern of expansion in the universe. So from one circle, you have a basic Pisces, which is the division of this circle into another one. So what you start to create there with these two circles is the polarity of positive and negative. So the neutral in the center, which is like a leaf or like a mouth or a vagina, this symbol in the center is the one that creates neutrality, and it's a portal of creation towards the outside and the inside. And the other two represents this positive and negative that holds this portal of creation. After that, it starts to replicate by 4, 8, 16, and so on. So it starts to replicate the same information throughout the entire universe. The tree of life is basically a ramification of the main patterns of creation. It's a sphere that replicates through purpose and mission, expanding towards the outside, but constantly replicating again the same system. We can picture this image through the idea of subatomical particles, which basically are all these strings of information that are vibration. So like the strings of the DNA, they are entangled and rolling and vibrating in different resonance. So it creates like snakes of light. And as much more they shine, what we see is a spectrum, a spherical spectrum, that it seems like it's a dot or a sphere. So this inner vibration, like the DNA, creates a particle that is like a sphere of light. And then this one, if it's negative, connects with another one which is positive. So it starts to create vesica Pisces. It creates a structure of an atom. An atom searches for another one similar, attached, creating a molecule, and so on. The tree of life starts to create through these snakes of light that shape a sphere, that divide itself in positive and negative, and starts to multiply the whole system throughout the entire cosmos and universe. So everything that is basically energy, that is based in vibration, that is based in particles, starts to create the tree of life. So it's not an actual tree, it's a ramification of atoms, of subatomical particles that vibrates and resounds constantly. So from that tree of life that expands, we have the other tree that contracts and goes back to the center, which is the tree of knowledge. And the purpose of the tree of knowledge is to reconnect all this information that has been expanded to give a meaning, a sense to each one of its creations. So it's like an invisible string, which is so impossible to count, to perceive, to measure, that people 2 centuries ago call it quantum, which is the quantic reality. The quantic reality means there is no measurement for this. It's something that is impossible to understand because there's no way to put numbers on it. So the quantum realm basically is this tree of knowledge, this tree of wisdom that connects every vibration throughout the entire cosmos in packages of information. Like every time that you have a note A, it will connect at the same time you play the note A in 440 Hertz. It will connect with all the notes A in 440 Hertz in all the universe, and they will all resound at the same time. So this resonance of resounding throughout the entire universe helps us understand that there are no packages of like fruits that are disconnected along the entire universe, but that every note or every particle that resounds in A are actually the same one, expanded in time and space. So it means that there are no division in the resonance or the vibration, but it's a constant, and we perceive it as divided because it wraps itself like in packages of information. But actually, it's a consequence, it's a constant throughout time and space. This means that for the universe, the wisdom of the tree of knowledge is related to every package of information. So organize everything in bubbles of resonance and frequency. This is what we call potestats or potential. Potential means the power that holds every vibration. And there is another way in which the Greek people calls the power of the sound. Power of the sound or message of power in Greek language, it's archangel. So archeangelo basically means the package of powerful information. So the tree of life is actually what we call Metatron. Metatron is a structure of geometry that means the throne that is beyond. It's like the king of kings of information, which is all the different packages of information that resounds exactly the same. So there is one of those packages of information that, for example, encodes all the potentiality of light. So that's why all the potentials of light, of cosmic light, we in Semitic language call it Ur-El. So the name Uriel, for example, represents the power of the light. We have also the potential of the cosmos, which is Gabur-El, so it's Gabriel. So all the names of the archangels in this structure of geometry are basically the fruits of knowledge in packages of information that resound in a quantum level and creates the tree of knowledge. And because we are a consequence of that creation, because we are basically a fractal of all of that, inside of our own body, we have also cells with that information of the tree of knowledge and the tree of life. But because we are a fractal, it means that we can access. But in order to become, we need to connect in a higher level, which means that we have to be very aware of all ourself in order to access to the tree of life or the tree of knowledge. It means that we need connections with others, basically because all information is spread in the third dimension. It's so spread around that each one of us has a tiny little speck of each one of the informations and resonance of the universe, which means that nobody, never in a human body can have the whole truth. So you need thousands of people around the world in order to find a complete idea of a truth, because it's impossible for only one person to encode the whole thing. It needs different aspects, different parts, like if each human is a fruit of this tree, like if every being, every plant, and you can access to that tree through breaking the code of those cells. And usually we have two ways of doing this. Through the light, which is a masculine side, or through food, which is a feminine side. These two ways of finding how to crack the information of a cell and activate the kundalini of the cell are the ones that have created the idea of culture for the food and the idea of religion through the light. So some people try to find the evolution of the tree of knowledge and life through cultural beliefs, and other ones through religious beliefs. To understand these two options, we have to go first to the cultural belief, which is the most ancient one. And it's related to the feminine because it's related to the needs of the earth. And that's where the word family comes from. Family means to be hungry. It comes from famine. So when people were living in the middle of the forest and there were nothing to harvest from the trees, nothing to eat around, people decided to get together in order to create a way in which they all could have food, so they all were together. This coming together in order to survive is what was called to be together because we are hungry. And that's the concept of family. So family is a group of people that tries to survive by harvesting or hunting together. This created the idea of keeping the tradition around food. So when do we have to grow the things? When do we have to hunt? So all the cultures and all the food, the fruit that we eat, the animal that we eat, were opening doors inside our cell to cracking data, to opening the tree of life and taking something new, bringing information from the outside to opening new information within. So basically, we become what we eat. And that's one of the main tasks that we have to encode the tree of life. What do we eat and how do we eat it in order to open the tree of life and communicate with our snake, which is the Kundalini inside the DNA. The 4 elements of our DNA are reactivated and reorganized according to the hormones, the proteins, the sugar that we eat from the outside. So depending on what we eat, the tree of life will reorganize that information, and the snake of the DNA will give us the chance to see something hidden within us that if you don't find the right code, it would never open. So through culture, we have figured out different ways in which we can create, understand, grow, expand, and it unlocked many of the data that we have within in our DNA, in our own tree of life. And basically, the last part of the tree of life that we have to face in order to activate data and to break the system is something very common that we all have, which is mom. So our relationship with the mother is basically the relationship with every one of the cells and every one of the food that we have eaten throughout all the process of evolution, and the way in which our DNA is locked and organized is related to how we relate with our mother. It's from the feminine side that all this power of creation comes. So by resonance, our relationship with our mother can also determine how we are going to open the information in our cells. In the other side, religion, or the masculine side of it, which is the connection with the light. The other way in which the cells can crack information and crack the system and enter and transform it is through photons. The photons that come from the sun or other stars and go through the planet with the ultraviolet rays and all the different infrared and ultraviolet, the different frequencies that comes to our planet from the light of the sun and the stars, they can modify and change and create mutations in our DNA. They break the molecules and they reorganize the structure of the molecules, creating mutations and, of course, creating the different types of skin, the different types of hair, the ethnicities that we have in our planet. So every uniqueness of each one of us is basically molded by the light. And this pursuit of light throughout all our existence has been designed from the first cell that discovered how to make photosynthesis, which means how to take the photons in order to create energy. Since that moment, basically all life in the planet started to look for the light. So for us today is in terms of wisdom, but for previous times it was the enlightenment itself. The first beings that found enlightenment were the unicellular beings that discovered how to make photosynthesis. And from that, all the vegetal realm that expanded in the planet, and then all the animal realm that ate the plants in order to grab that light as food. So we started to evolve in a way in which hunger gave us the way to find the light, until our minds started to find the light in a different way, by looking towards the stars, by following the sun, by following ideas, by following thoughts, philosophy, and of course, religion. The word God means light or bright. The word divine comes from the word Yael, that means brightness of the sun. So the idea of a God, of a bright God that is shining in the sky, is actually the transcription of the photons coming from the sun. So God can transform our life, but not in a huge level, but inside of ourselves, opening the data and the information that is in the tree of knowledge. These are the two external ways in which feminine side of the tree of life and the masculine side in the tree of knowledge can transform our life. But we can also transform our life by using the same tools. We can take the feminine side and decide, for example, a different way of eating, transcending our culture and trying to listen what our body is saying, trying to learn about what our body processes. Because we not only eat food, we also eat emotions and ideas. So what are we absorbing from the world? What emotions are we eating from other people? What food are we eating just by culture and not because we need it? What food we think we need but we don't? So all these ideas of what are we eating can make us transform our way of assimilating that information and opening the tree of life within us. So when we start thinking in the maternal side with our left knee, we have to think with flexibility which is the food that is going to open our cells and unlock the information of the tree of life, of the snake of light, the kundalini inside of us. In the other side, the religious way or the tree of knowledge is about what ideas we have, but also how do we relate with our higher self, with our inner self, meaning meditation. How do we absorb the light through consciousness? So eating properly and meditating properly, both together can find the balance of setting the intention of opening ourselves, grabbing information, but also modifying the information within. We can change the information of the tree of life by changing the way in which we eat and we breathe and we laugh and we love. The cycle of this, the cycle of fire, water, air and earth, or thymine, cytosine, guanine and thymine, these four aspects of the inner cell and these four elements of nature can be also transformed in the concept of the mind through a process of four related to expression, experimentation, integration, and transcendence. Every process in life has these four stages. So whatever we do related to our traditions with the food or our traditions with our inner connection with consciousness, we have to think about these 4 processes. What do I express? What do I experiment? What do I integrate, or how can I integrate? And what do I should transcend? What do I must transcend? These 4 stages then will unlock parts of the memories of our self, and just by realizing that everything has a cycle, we can understand what things are repeating constantly. For example, what I am experimenting all the time constantly because I haven't integrated it and I haven't let it go by transcending it. And what things I am afraid of expressing, so I cannot complete the entire circle. So that cycle of process is also important in order to let the information inside the tree of life, inside the cells, to move forward, to transcend, to transform. We need to pay attention to the details of our life, to the actions of our life. What are the things that we need to change, that we need to transform? What are the things that we are not expressing, that we are not experimenting, or that we are repeating as a loop? So these kind of things are the ones that can help us understand in which stage we are in this path of evolution. The key of the knee chakra is evolution, is the transformation from the mother side, from the energy of the feminine and the masculine, of the knowledge that receives all these data in packages of resonance in quantum level, and in the other hand, the information of our food, of our ancestors that have been passed through every generation in life after life. This tree of life that usually we hear in stories is actually very close to us every day, and we can transform it, change it, or take benefit from it. Eat its fruits in our own body, in our own self. We can access that in our own being. The key of this information is to understand that what we have inside is the codes of the entire universe, and that we can harvest ourselves in each one of the levels that we could harvest fruits in the tree of life in the universe, that we encode and have all the information that we need, and that we have to do just simple things in order to transform that reality, to open the tree of life and to access the Kundalini. There are 3 main things that we can do for that. So remember, food. What do we eat? What is our diet? Whatever we eat, we drink, emotionally or physically, is determining our information. We become what we eat, what we ingest. So by being careful in what we are receiving in our body, or being careful in what we are receiving as emotions, we are accessing to one information on or the other. And by saying being careful, I don't mean being vegetarian. I mean pay attention and listen to your body. Because the body knows what it needs. The body knows what is the process needed to unlock certain information. And sometimes, because we follow some tradition, culture, or knowledge, we tend to put mind on the body. But the body doesn't work with the same mind that we think about. The body understands things in terms of protein, fat, hormones. So it's not about philosophy. It's about paying attention to what the body needs. And of course, if we are people that needs to be grounded, we will need things that ground us, that are more heavy. If we need to, or we are looking for something much more light, it's better to eat things and consume things that are lighter and free. So the tendency we have to condition our food in terms of belief sometimes goes against our actual need of reconnection and the actual accessing of information. That's why I would recommend to pay attention to what the body is in need for and try to feel, sense the smells, the taste, the sight that tells us what to eat and when to eat. This is one thing in order to unlock certain information in the cells. The other thing would be breathing, related to spirituality. Spirit comes from the Latin word spirare, that means to breathe. So what is a spiritual being? The one that knows how to breathe. Is not the one that channels, is not the one that connects with higher level beings, is not the one that is a master or enlightened one, is the one that knows how to breathe. It's very easy, but also very difficult. Because we tend to believe that spirituality is related to religion or a pyramidal structure in which there is a master that knows more than the others. But spirituality is not a connection with other dimensions, it's the connection with your own self. Is the connection with your own body. How do you talk to your cells? Through oxygen. So the energy that your cells need in order to activate the replication of DNA is oxygen. By absorbing the oxygen from the air is how we create energy for our cells. So that's why the breathing process is the one that unlocks information. That's why the second thing is learn how to breathe. And learn how to breathe means that the body has designed a perfect tool for breathing, which we call nose. And it seems silly to say like this, but sometimes we forget that the nose is to breathe, and we tend to breathe by the mouth. And the reason we do that is because we are stressed. When we feel stressed and we need more oxygen to survive, we are claiming for survival, we usually tend to breathe by the mouth. Because we can inhale, like we need this, we need to eat it. But actually, when we are in balance, we will learn to breathe through the nose, which is the tool that has been designed in order to calibrate our body and to receive the certain specific amount of energy from the oxygen. So these two are very important for each one of the needs, related to the feminine side, which is what we eat, and the masculine side, which is how I breathe. And then we have a third one, which is laughter. Laughter is a tool that connects them both. Laughter is the one that relaxes the body and creates endorphins, so the body feels in balance and high vibration. So sometimes it seems a very silly thing, but actually to laugh at something, to laugh about myself, to simply laugh with no reason, or just simply smile a little bit, sends a signal to the nerve system, to the body, to the brain, that says, I have to activate these hormones in order to activate the entire body to feel rise up energy. So the body starts to bright in frequency and energy as I move my mouth towards a smile and as I start to react through laughter. So it accommodates all the energetical pattern in order to receive proper energy and light from the outside. These are the three main tools that we can use in order to balance the knees and to be flexible, to learn to be flexible through breathing, through eating and through laughing. So that would be the process of honoring our ancestors and honoring the two trees that have created our existence. So to summarize this information, what I could say is remember that your knees, your legs, are such as important as your crown chakra, that in order to connect with the entire universe, it's not just about connecting with a higher being in your mind, but also to be very responsible on how you breathe and eat in this planet, and how flexible you are to transform and evolve in every step you give in your life. And as a task for this week, I would recommend you to pick something new to eat. Try to change your diet, at least for 1 week. If you eat in one way, try to find a way to eat something completely different and perceive how your body feels about it. What is the reaction of your body? What is the reaction of your emotions? For example, another task that I will give you is to, for 1 week, stop watching whatever you usually watch and change it to a completely different topic. Maybe stop watching the news and walk by a forest. Or if you usually walk in a forest, go and watch the news. And let's see what happens. Try to feel how your body reacts, how your emotions react, in order to understand how you are eating constantly energy and information from the outside. And the third one, the most important, is pay attention all this week in how you breathe. And take at least 1 minute every day to pay attention to it. Just 1 minute before you go to sleep or when you wake up. Just pay attention to where is your breathing. If you're breathing from the upper chest, the middle chest, the lower chest, if you're breathing with the mouth, with the nose, and don't push yourself to breathe in a perfect way. Just try to change it to where you feel it more comfortable. Because sometimes we tend to believe that as we breathe is the most comfortable position, but actually it's not. Actually, we are used to it. And it's not because we feel comfortable with it, it's because we are used to it. So pay attention to that and start to change it according to what you feel. Try to go through the 3 ways of breathing only through the nose and feel where do you feel more comfortable with.
Inspirați adânc, relaxând tot corpul după ce l-ați mișcat.
Find some clues on when to change your diet and when to change your breathing.
Inspirăm pe nas
because sometimes a different way of eating, a different way of breathing can change the whole day, can change even your whole life. And that is not only about you feeling good, but it's also about you honoring your entire family tree, your entire tree of life, from now towards the past to the very first cell, and also releasing the tension to all the cells that will come in the future. And of course, a task that for most of the people could be difficult is to find something to laugh about yourself. Like, not to watch a fun program or, I don't know, set up friends or something like that. Try to find something that you could laugh about yourself. Like something that maybe for you usually could be like very dramatic or traumatic, and try to find a way in which you could tell a joke to yourself about that drama, and try to find a way to laugh about it and have fun staring at the mirror and find it that way.